Hello, in this recording, we're going to talk about the hybrid template in SuccessFactors Compensation. We're going to do a couple examples, I decided to start with an example of an Employee Central integrated template for salary planning, where all of the data here that we can see are coming from the Employee Central profile of the employees. So current salary will come from the pay component group under compensation information. Job title comes from usually from the position attributes. And so the idea of the hybrid template is that it will allow us to bring over into compensation worksheets employees that are not Employee Central enabled employees, in the sense that they don't have job information and comp information portlet. So a hybrid template will allow us to have a couple more employees showing on this worksheet, reporting to this planner, Allison, that when we go to their profile, because there will be a profile created for them in SuccessFactors, but when we navigate to it, contrarily to all of these employees, we will not see any data for job info, any data for comp info, and so on. Their data will be loaded through what we call the user directory file, which is a flat CSV file containing a lot of data that is very important to make a lot of filters work in different modules, other modules of the talent suite in SuccessFactors. So we're basically going to create these users through a flat file upload, and then they will show here at the bottom. And so their data will be handled completely differently. Instead of coming from EC directly as of one effective date, they will come from this CSV file and this user directory file. So let's do an example. So what if we wanted to add 3 employees? First of all, turn this template into a hybrid template, and then add 3 employees reporting to Allison in the org chart that are not Employee Central enabled employees. And so one of the reasons for hybrid templates commonly seen is the fact that a lot of companies will first have a first SuccessFactors implementation where they bring in only exempt employees into SuccessFactors, and then a couple years later they want to bring in non-exempt employees. Most of the time, non-exempt employees report to different managers, but sometimes they can report to the same manager. So in this case, we'll do a case where we have a manager with, let's say, the company went live first with exempt employees, and then we want to bring in non-exempt for the budget planning. So let's do that. So first of all, we're going to turn our template into a hybrid template. So we're going to delete the worksheet that was created. And we're going to check Employee Central settings, hybrid templates, save. So now those that are enabled in Employee Central will still come over, but now the idea is, how do we bring in these people that are in our example, in our test case, that are non-exempt? So first we need to create these users so that they show in the org chart of the company when we go to Alison Mahoney's profile. So we want these people to show here, because that's the precondition to then show on the comp worksheets. So to do that, as a system administrator, we're going to go to Employee Export, which is the way we can export this UDF file, which is the base layer of data in SuccessFactors. And we're going to say valid users only and export user file. So we open this CSV file, which has a lot of data from this file is actually synced. Every time a save is made in Employee Central on specific field, it gets synchronized from EC to this file. For example, department, job code, division, it all gets this data that we see here all comes from Employee Central through this sync job. So now we have this file called the UDF. And we're going to add new employees to this file. So now the thing about the UDF is we don't need to keep all of the existing employees unless we want to have an example to prepare our new employees, but we can basically delete everything but one. And for the purpose of this, of creating just creating new users, we're also going to limit the number of columns we keep. So we'll just keep no, actually, we'll keep them all here. We'll do more example later. So we're going to edit this to be a unique ID. So let's say unique ID would be 4, 5, 6, 5, 7, 8, something like this. And then we're going to call this user I'll do my name as an example. So keeping the same idea, Xavier Lagarek, and then gender M, and then email that we can leave empty. And then manager would be no manager. Oh no, actually here we need the ID of Alison Mahoney. So we could have gotten it from the file, but we're going to get it here from by going to her profile. Okay, so now Alison is the manager here. No HR, and then this I will keep the same that was already here. Detroit, Michigan is fine, and then yeah, everything else I'll keep the same thing except this, which will be automatically populated. And second manager we don't need, but I'll also add Alison here. I'll leave it blank. Okay, so now we have a file that's ready for import. So I'll do save as. And the next step is to go to, as a system administrator, to import employee. Import employee data. And here we're going to select our file, but first we need to select basic import and then choose file, import Xavier. And then the rest of the file we can just do import. We could validate import file data if we wanted to make sure that the manager ID and HR ID and all the IDs for reporting lines are correct. But for now, we'll just do this. We can go to monitor job to check the status of the job. So here it looks like I don't have permission. So I'll go back as myself to check the status of the import. It's always good to come here and click on view details to see if there is any issue with the import. So we can see this is a basic import in SuccessFactors, active user success 1. Yep, so it looks like it worked. And the way we're going to check now that it's working fine is by going back to the company info and searching for Alison Mahoney. And now we can see the user I just created shows here. Except the information we can see here looks like the employee looks like it's just like any other, except it doesn't have a picture here. But the reality is this employee is not an employee central employee. So now let's take a look at what I said at the beginning. What is an employee central employee versus what is a non-employee central employee? So if we go to Pamela's profile from here, and we navigate through her profile, we can see she has, when we click on job information, she has data history. She has changes, effective dated changes that go back to the day she was hired. And same thing for her compensation information portlet. We can see when we go here, we can see when we click on the history, we can see the same date was used to create her compensation information record. And this data is data that is effective dated, that lives. Every time we do a new salary review cycle, it publishes back into this portlet, and so on. So now, what if we go to this one that I just created? So now we have a situation where on this profile, we can see the same exact links. However, when we go to job information, nothing. When we go to comp information, nothing. So that's what we call a non-employee central employee. There's no exact word to call it except that it's not employee central enabled. And so, but that doesn't mean we can't bring this user on the compensation worksheet. So to bring this user onto the compensation worksheet, we can go back as comp administrator and launch a worksheet. And because we checked the box in the beginning that said hybrid template, now we're going to see this employee show on the compensation worksheet. So let's go to Comp Home. Manage worksheets, create worksheets. Let's just make sure again that we did check it and saved. Yeah, we did. So another thing I want to do is now I'm going to call it hybrid. Okay, now create worksheets. And now let's make sure it got created. Yep, one plan created, so we can find it in the first step in leading practices in the comp admin's inbox. And here we can check what we got. And now we can see that the non-EC employee is being pulled into the comp worksheets. So now the second topic in to as far as hybrid templates are concerned is once we bring over the employees the right way, how do we bring the employees' data into this worksheet? So that's still controlled by the exact same file that we call the UDF, except it's going to be handled a little bit differently than these, in the sense that there is no employee data for these non-EC employee in their profile. So we need to import these data through the UDF through specific import keys. So let's do that now and say, let's say we wanted to bring over a current salary, a pay grade, and an FTE for this employee. So what we'll do is we'll go first to the comp template. We're going to go to design worksheet, and for job title and current salary, we're going to make sure that we define a specific import key for these fields. So here we can see actually job title is not showing an import key because it's a standard column. So we'll find it. I'll show it in the UDF. But let's say, for example, legal entity. We didn't show it on screen, but legal entity is also, let me see if I deleted the worksheet. Yeah, I deleted it. Legal entity would be, currently is populated for everybody, but for this user I created. So legal entity for us, in our case, will need to bring in, to bring the value for this non-EC user from this import key. So we're going to say legal entity, like this. So now we have a custom column example and two standard column examples on how to bring in the data. So we have job title, and then we're also going to feed current salary and pay grade for this employee. So it works the same way. We go to employee export. We're going to close this. We can only export valid users, which are active, and then click on include user compensation data, click on this template, hybrid, and then that's very important. That's the difference with the previous step where we just created the employee in the system, the non-EC employee. So now we click on export user file. And in this file that we're opening here, we're going to have way more data than what we had initially in the first file. We didn't necessarily go to the very right side of the first file. I think we did actually, and I think it stopped somewhere after second manager. There were a few columns about assignment ID that are now at the very end here, but all these columns that have compensation names we didn't have in that first file. Job title is here, so that's where we'll enter the job title, the person's salary, and then the legal entity field should be towards the end. here in DH. So these actually are the columns we want to keep. We're going to delete all of the other columns because we don't need them. We only want to re-import columns that matter to us. And in this case, it's just salary, job title. We also have pay grade actually, so I'll need to keep pay grade. And then all other columns we don't need. And then also all of this, except for the first three columns, all the way to username. Actually, username we don't need either, so we can remove all this. So now we have this. The user ID, so that's where we're going to filter to only keep the one I created, which I think the user ID I gave it was no, it was different. So I'm going to bring back username and search for my name. And so now what I can do is if I just want to deal with this person, I can just copy it here and do a paste, remove this, and this is all that I need to re-import. I don't even need the first name, the last name. I do need the user ID, and if the user IDs have leading zeros, I also want to make sure that I keep them because Excel has this problem that it deletes the leading zeros. So now what if I do 50,000 for salary, job title will be comp consultant, pay grade will be grade 6, GR6, and legal entity will be SAP Professional Services. Okay, so now I have my file that's ready for re-import. So I want to save it as my PC somewhere here on the desktop, re-import, comma, delimited always when saving as CSV. And now I'm going to go to import employee data. Import data, select an entity basic, and then choose this file, re-import. So here it's really important that in more options we don't check validate manager and HR fields. If we want to update data into worksheets that are already created and where the columns are flagged as reloadable, for these non-EC users, we can check compensation options, update compensation forms, and that will take care of updating the compensation form worksheets that are already created for us. I won't talk about all these because it would require a dedicated call for this. But for now, I don't have a worksheet created, so I just want to update the database itself, and then I will create my worksheet. So I just do this, and then import. And I'm not going to check that it got imported fine. Actually, I should. So I'm going to go to actions, import employee data, and then find the monitor job. I do this because there are several monitor jobs and sometimes it can be confusing. So here, basic user 350, this is me. View details, download status, and let's see what the system said. So it said active, so users updated success 1. So we're good. We can launch our worksheet and see how the data is coming now. And I will stop the explanations there. So comp admin. Comp home. Then Mahoney. And then it should Get created. Usually I would check in Actions for All Plans Monitor Jobs, but here we've created a worksheet before, so I'm pretty sure, yes, it got created. And now we're going to check that the data got populated fine. Oh, I think I forgot. Oh no, I did populate the standard field job title. So it's showing here comp consultant, 50,000, grade 6. Comp ratio, that's another story. I'm not going to go into the details of everything related to hybrid templates. This is the job of a comp consultant. But this is to give an example of how things work. So and we can see legal entity was, well, I should have probably used the real example that would have matched and used the code, but it doesn't matter. So we can see this is how we populate data for non-EC employees. So the most common business case is SuccessFactors was implemented for a customer with only exempt employees, and now we would like to have non-exempt employees planned in SuccessFactors for salary increases or bonus calculations. So this is how it works. And the rest of the feature is always the same. So as long as you feed the column that controls the budget, the individual budget envelope for these employees, then it will feed the total budget for the planning worksheets that you see here. Um, yep. Thank you.